Hey everyone, welcome to week 3. As usual, the class is flying by already. I can't believe we're on week 3. I just wanted to go over some things for this week. So this week your theory paper is due, and I wanted to remind you of some of the things I'm going to be looking for. So I'm going to be making sure that everyone is using proper APA format. I also really want you guys to make sure that you're rereading your papers. I find that when I'm reading a lot of the papers, I'm finding people are writing how they're talking and not necessarily writing professionally. So please make sure you're rereading your paper, checking for grammar, checking for structure and flow. I also wanted to remind you all to make sure your citations are in the correct areas, because some of you are citing at the bottom of your paragraphs, but you're using direct quotes. So please, like I mentioned before, make sure you're using proper APA format. I also wanted to remind you that I do take plagiarism very seriously. Widener takes plagiarism very seriously, and I will not give anyone a chance to rewrite their paper if they do plagiarize. So I'm asking that everyone have integrity when writing their paper. So if anyone should have any questions about it or any concerns, please feel free to send me an email this week so we can talk about anything that you're feeling uncomfortable about. So this week we're going to be talking about psychodynamic theory, as well as ego psychology and rational theory. As I've mentioned before, theories have a tendency to kind of go in and out of each other, but psychodynamic theory is a foundation theory, as I call it, is one of those theories that tend to be dominant in a lot of other theories, because psychodynamic theory is based off a lot of your childhood and your feelings and your thoughts, your behaviors, and your attachment. So such as for psychodynamic theory, as I was just saying, ego psychology is a bit of a branch from that. So ego psychology focuses on the individual in their relation to the environments that they're currently in. So as we know, the id, ego, and superego play major parts about who we are as human beings. And the ego is the part of the mind that adapts to the drives that are socially acceptable. And ego psychology focuses on developing a strong ego to accept who we are. So, and as an example, have you ever wanted to go out with your friends or your spouse, and you have that thought, well, maybe I should really work on my paper because it's due this week? That's your ego. That's your ego right there trying to, if you have a strong ego, it's stroking you to say, you know what, not tonight. I need to focus on my paper. I need to do the right thing, because the ego is always about doing the right thing and making sure that the person itself is happy and it's not going to cause a lot of stress to the person. So if you don't have a strong ego, that's one of the things that, as you'll find, you could be, screw it, I have 3 more days to work on my paper. I'm just going to end up going out with my friends. It's going to be fine. Not a problem. I'll make it happen. Those are people that tend to have a weaker ego, and that they let their childish id take over. So that's why ego psychology kind of derived from psychodynamic. It focuses more on stroking that ego, making it stronger, making people stronger, and making their thought process stronger so that they can make sound decisions for themselves. So a bigger thing about developing a strong ego is the fact that defense mechanisms are going to come out left and right, because your defense mechanisms are going to come out when your ego is strong, because you're going to start to, your body and mind are going to start to push against it. So, for example, you're going to think, the defense mechanism that could come out with the example that I just used is, well, it's only going to be an hour, right? So I can spend time with my friends. I'm just going to go out for an hour. It's not going to take any of my time. I'll just stay up an hour later and continue to work on my paper. That's the defense mechanism right there, kicking in, letting you feel like, hey, it's okay if I go, because it's going to derive you from what you're really trying to do, if that makes sense. So Walsh lays out a really good layout of defense mechanisms on page 62 and 63. So I encourage you to take a look at those. I encourage you to read thoroughly through them, because each defense mechanism you will absolutely see throughout your time as a clinician. And when you read them, you will you will absolutely see which ones you use in yourself. As I was re-looking at them, I was like, oh, I used that one. So take a look at those and, figure out what your defense mechanisms are so that you're able to address them when your clients start to use them in front of you as well. So moving on to, I wanted to touch on countertransference and transference because that's also in your reading this week. So countertransference and transference emerged from psychodynamic theory for the fact that it brings a lot of the past up. So the transference comes from your clients, and your countertransference comes from you. So psychodynamic theory plays a part in everyone, and that's why it derives from this. So transference sometimes can be easier to see in clients because you're going to be able to see them project their feelings. So transference is the client's unconscious projected feelings toward you. So, for example, if I have a client who is having trouble with maybe a sister, I could remind them of that sister. I could trigger them and actually make them more angry. Their defense mechanisms will come out, and it will no longer be therapeutic for me or that client. So transference, you can sometimes pick out, and you're able to clinically confront that bias that the patient has toward you. And I encourage you to do that because some therapists find that it's not okay to confront patients on that. But I always state that, if there is a bias that they have towards you, you really want to clinically try to work through that with them because, okay, maybe I remind them of their sister, but the next therapist could do the same thing, and the one after that, and the one after that, until somebody, takes control of that and really digs deeper into, what's going on with the sister, for example. So countertransference is our unconscious reaction to clients' thoughts, feelings, and projections. Now, this can be really dangerous to us if we don't address it because it can actually danger the patient as well. If we do not see that we're having countertransference, we can truly harm a client because, when our own feelings come out and our own attitudes come out, people can read that as well. Just as we can read others, they can read us. So when your attitude changes, when your emotion changes, and all of a sudden, you start to bring in a lot of yourself and a lot of your past and a lot of self-disclosure, that right there can be very harmful to a client. So you need to be very careful. And sometimes people feel that it's not okay to have countertransference or that it's embarrassing, but the honest truth is that it's absolutely not embarrassing. There will always be that one patient that you have countertransference with, and I encourage you to be very honest about it because I would rather you be honest, talk to your supervisor about it, and either A, talk it through, or B, maybe that client is just not meant to be yours. We cannot help every single person that we come in contact with, and that's okay, but those people that come to us genuinely want help, and if they want help, we need to make sure that we're giving them the best care that we can. So moving on to rational theory, which focuses on interpersonal relationships and individual functioning. Objective relations is also a bit of a spin-off from that, and it focuses on our internal attitudes toward others and our self-determination and our approach on relationships in the world. So another thing that spins off of rational theory is attachment theories, because whether you develop a secure or insecure attachment, it shapes how you feel and how we feel about those relationships that are being named in objective relations. So Walsh on page 110 and 111 gives a great overview on how they all kind of connect and intertwine. So I want you guys to really take a look at that because, as I stated, all of these theories kind of intertwine with each other. So getting a basis knowledge of where they connect is key, and a lot of them connect in their ability to what they're trying to accomplish. So now I wanted to touch on these from the readings, but I also want to remind you that the theories that we're talking about here at this point in time need to be with clients that are of sound mind. So clients that are experiencing active psychosis, these are not the types of theories that you really want to work with them on, because they're not going to be able to orient to reality with you enough to process. When they're in active psychosis, they're in their own delusion, in their own paranoia with whatever else is going on, that if you try to orient them to reality, you could actually danger yourself at times if they are not able to do so. So be very, very mindful of that. I'm not sure how many of you are working with patients with active psychosis, but I did just want to touch on it. These are also really good theories to work in a group setting, because the group will actually form a big cohesiveness around this, and altruism, because of the fact that they can all band together in how they feel about their relationships, or if they've had bad attachment issues in the past, and their right to self-determination. So these theories are actually really, really good to use in group settings, because you will get you'll get a huge response from the group about wanting to move forward and wanting to process. So, as we've discussed, like I keep saying, all theories share pieces of each other. Some have more research on them than others do. Some articles you'll read will be more biased toward what others. So I really want you guys to start thinking for this upcoming paper about what population it is that you truly see yourself in, and what theories you feel like would benefit that clientele, and why. And I would suggest staying focused on a main theory, because some theories, as I was just stating, derive from each other. So you have psychodynamic theory, and then you have ego psychology, self-psychology, object relations, attachment theory. They all kind of branch off of each other. So I want you to, take a look at each theory and really figure out for yourself if this is the theory that is truly going to impact the population that I want to work with, because I want you guys to really dig deep into what theories you feel like are going to be most beneficial to you as a clinician. So really dig deep into those. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I'm available via email at any time, so please feel free to email me. And if you are watching this, I will allow a 24-hour extension to your paper, so it could be due Monday at 11:59 p.m. And if you are going to take this offer, just please email me so that I am aware and I can make a note of it when I am grading. All right, guys, have a great week. If you have any questions, like I said, please feel free to let me know. Thank you.